So March the 8th set the Apple event that took place. In this event, I was really hoping to see a new Mac Mini with probably an M2 chip on it with some additional ports. As you all know, if you've seen the show, that did not happen, but we got the Mac Studio, which is a really cool new device that is being offered by Apple. So since I didn't get the Mac Mini, and I had been waiting for actually 2 events now to order a Mac Mini, thinking that this would be the one that the new one came, I went ahead and went with the Mac Studio. So today I'm going to show why I ended up trying to wait for a Mac Mini, and then why I ended up going with the Mac Studio, even though it costed a little bit more and did kind of blow my budget out, but I think it was well worth it. And now I have a new computer that is going to last me going forward, and I'm very happy to make the switch from PC, which I've been on pretty much my whole life, now to Apple or Mac, just to have something different and try something new. So without further ado, here we go. I'll show you the Mac Mini and what I was hoping for the changes, and I'll show you the Mac Studio and why I decided to go that route, and then in the end I will tell you how much my setup cost me. So now we'll talk about the Mac Mini and the changes I was hoping for and what I didn't see was, so this of course is the Mac Mini. This is the $899 version, not the cheaper version. But one of the things I was really hoping to see with this, as we start to scroll down through the options, is I was wanting to see 16 gigabytes of unified memory go up. Of course, if we would have got the M2 chip, which would have been a lot nicer in this, that would have made that happen. You could have expanded this out more. And of course with the Macs, whatever memory you get in it is pretty much the memory you're going to have in it. So that was a big deal for me. That was one of the major changes I was waiting on, was that M2 chip and having a better memory upgrade other than 16 gigabytes. For most things this would work perfect, but I do a lot of video editing, so I wanted to have more power for memory. So the next thing is on the storage. Actually, as you will see on mine, I went with a 2 terabyte of storage, but you do have a lot more options with the Mac Studio, so you can go a lot higher, so that was a huge upgrade. And then on the Ethernet port, the 10 gigabyte Ethernet port was standard on the Mac Studio, and I was actually going to do that upgrade, so either way it would have worked out good for me. I was going to get that on either one. And then the last 2 pieces here for the upgrade was going to be, I actually did go with the Final Cut Pro. For the Logic Pro, I don't do a lot with music, so I decided not to do that, but those are just the few features that you can upgrade on the Mac Mini. And honestly, with the Mac Studio, you had a lot more options and a lot more upgradability. But I will say, whatever you decide to go with, because this is a good computer as well, but whatever you decide to go with, be sure to do it on the time of purchase, because after you purchase it, everything that I've read and everything that I've seen is they're very hard to upgrade, and really a lot of it you can't upgrade. So now we'll look at some pictures of the Mac Mini. I'm going to click on their gallery here. So as you can see, this is a very narrow and very small space, so it works really good. This does have awesome cooling. You do not hear these Macs run, which is a huge thing about them. So they just stay cool. The new chips run really good, and they keep things a lot cooler. Plus with the internal cooling, they do pretty good. As you can see, this one does have a small profile as compared to the Mac Studio, which we will see here in just a few seconds. And you got all your Apple stuff, but here's the main components of it. Here's the major changes I was hoping to see. So these Thunderbolt ports, USB-C, I really wanted to see that go to 4 instead of just a 2. That's the one thing I was hoping for during this upgrade, and really just hoping for more connectability, and you just did not get that with this one. So that was the major thing for me. That was the major reason why I decided to go ahead and do the Mac Studio, because it did have everything I wanted, plus it actually had a more powerful chip in it, which we will talk about here in just a minute, and it just offered those available options that I want. My goal here was to go with 4, to have 4 of these ports. The new one actually has 6 total, and like I say, it just has several other options, and there's a lot more expandability to it. So that's why I decided to go ahead and make the jump to the Mac Studio and not wait for anything else on the Mac Mini. I wanted to make the change because I was ready to get something new besides a PC. My PC that I had was giving me trouble, so that's why I went ahead and went forward with this upgrade. So now we'll jump over to the Mac Studio. I will show you the build out that I decided to go with and exactly how much that costed. So now on to the star of the show, the Mac Studio. I'm very excited to have this new Mac device coming to me. Can't wait to work with it, but I will show you what this is, what the general configuration is, and then what my configuration ended up being. And as you can see here, it kind of gives you the general stuff here. So this does come with the M1 Max or the M1 Ultra chip. I went with the Max. I did not need the Ultra and didn't want to bust my budget that much. So, but you can kind of see the basic specs here. This thing is just incredible. So now I will scroll through and show you what I went with on mine. So for the processor, instead of going with the 24 core, I went with the 32 core. Then once you get into the 48 or the 64 core, that is when you have to start getting into the Ultra chip. So I went with the highest available on the Max chip, and I'm very happy with that. And for the stuff that I do, that is going to be plenty of power. Now onto the memory, which if you remember right when I talked about the Mac Mini, you were only available to upgrade up to 16 unified memory, 16 gigabytes of unified memory. On this, you can actually go up to 64, which is exactly what I did, but the basic starts off at 32, which is still extremely good, but I cannot wait to see what this does at 64. If you go with the Ultra, it actually starts at 64, and you can go up to 128 gigabytes of memory. That is absolutely insane. Now down to the storage. This comes standard with 512 gigabytes of SSD storage, which is really good storage. I actually opted for the 2 terabyte, but on this one and any of them actually, on the Ultra or the Max chip, you can go up to 8 terabytes of storage. So I went with a 2, and I actually have the 2 terabyte of cloud storage as well that I use to store. So really for me it's configurable up to 4 terabytes because I've got the 2 terabytes of cloud storage. But 2 terabyte, it takes a lot to fill it up. I know with video, especially high def, you can get into it really quick. But on this, I would say this would be the limit I would go, and if you needed something else, I would go with external storage because you can actually get it a lot cheaper than what you're paying for it here. So that was just kind of my thought process on that. And lastly here on the pre-installed software, I ended up with the Final Cut Pro. And again, as I said before, I don't deal a whole lot in music, so I did not go with the Logic Pro, but it does look to be a pretty good piece of software if somebody's interested in that. So not knocking it, just not my thing. And with the Final Cut Pro, I've never used this before, so I'm looking forward to doing some video editing with that. Overall, just an absolutely insane PC. As you can see, the price down here ends up showing $3498.99, and I will also give you the full price plus tax with what my order was here in just a minute. And I ordered it, like I say, with mine, I ordered it within 2 minutes of the show ending, so I had it ordered and ready to go. Now we'll look through some pictures here, and as you can see, this looks a lot like a Mac Mini. The only difference is the width right here. So when you get into that, this basically is more or less double the size of a Mac Mini. The length of it, the overall I guess space of it that's going to take from right to left is exactly the same as the Mac Mini. It just doubles in height, and basically that's so they can get these extra components in it. So to me, it's very well worth it. But this is on the back of it, so as you can see here, you got the 4 Thunderbolt ports. This comes with the Gigabyte Ethernet port, which is absolutely incredible. Of course, you got the plug-in. I know a lot of people had reference they may go with like the magnet power stick. I'm not a big fan of that. I would rather have something more solid personally. You do have 2 just general USB ports, an HDMI port, and of course you got your 3.5 millimeter jack port. You got your power here. Love this system though. You can see all the cooling opening fans for the, you can see all the openings for the cooling fans, and then the cooling inside, of course, they give better description of that in their presentation when they showed it at the event. But just a very cool setup. And then of course on the front, this was an amazing add-on. So you got 2 more ports that you can use up here, plus you got a SD plug-in for like a video card or whatever to plug into the front of it. So that's a really cool add-on. Overall, I'm absolutely thrilled with this Mac Studio. Cannot wait to get it. Looking so forward to working with it and seeing how much different it's going to help me with video production and just general day-to-day use with the speed that this is going to offer. So, and of course, here is the display setting that they came out with that kind of paired these two together when they showed them. You don't have to have them together. I did not get the display setting. I've got my own display setting set up, but overall, this is just a view of kind of what it's going to look like under a monitor, and I cannot wait to see it. So, for those of you who want to know, the total price I ended up paying was $4,025.62. And since I ordered it directly after the show was over, it actually is stating that mine should be here anywhere between March the 30th and April the 6th. And obviously with pretty much any Apple delivery after it goes over a certain amount, I did get free delivery. So hopefully by the end of this month, I will be tinkering with this new Mac Studio. and I'm absolutely loving it. Looking forward to getting it. Thank you all so much for watching.